Hi and welcome to day 31 of Counting the Omer, Tiferet within Hood. Tiferet in the body is in the heart space, the center of our chest. It's the central line. It's that ability to stay in this neutral state, in whatever situation we find ourselves in. When we rest within the heart center, within this unconditional, endless river of love coming from within, coming through our soul, from our soul, and into our heart, we can easily receive this feeling that we can handle whatever comes. There is such a great power in having this ability to take a step backwards out of the situation, into neutrality, into the observer, and allow whatever is going on from a place of neutrality and allowance and love, unconditional love and compassion for whatever there is. While Hood is on the feminine side of the tree of life, and if we look at this Sephiroth from the spirit level, this is where we can see the light shining out from someone's eyes. Some people have this glory around them, this beauty that just surrounds them. Their light is shining on the outside, so when they step into a room, even though maybe their body is not what the mind think of as beautiful, they still have this radiancy and the glory around them. And we perceive them as beautiful because their appearance is beautiful. And the soul is beautiful. But we judge the body and the face. We find it either beautiful or not beautiful. And the mind is making this categorization of whether that body or that face is appealing to us or not. We are doing this all the time. But the moment we can let that go and come into our heart and start sensing other people from our heart, we can always sense another soul as beautiful, because the soul is pure and bright and full of love. So the Hood is about that glory, that splendor. But sometimes being here in the density, in the human experience, is the opposite of beauty. It can be so hard sometimes. It can be so heavy, and we can experience sickness and really painful experiences, trauma of all kinds. We can experience abuse, accidents. There are so many things that we can experience as a human being, which feels very heavy and difficult and emotionally overwhelming to us. And this night was so heavy for me. I wondered if it's the full moon purging out some really dense, heavy thing restored in my body. And it was so strange. My house was making so many strange noises this night. And I woke up with this, is there someone in my house? Because I've never heard these kind of sounds before. It was like my house was cracking, and I wonder if there was another human being in my house making these kinds of sounds happening, because I've never heard them before. So I woke up with such a fear that someone was there in my house. And I actually experienced that when I was a child, that we had someone coming during the night and stealing things from us. And that feeling that someone had been watching me while I was sleeping. And they went through the window that was over my parents' bed. So they had actually been in the bed of my mother and father while they were sleeping. And of course that terrified me as a child, that someone could actually come in while I'm sleeping. So this came up for me tonight. And then I fell asleep again, and I had such a nightmare of someone coming into my body, putting things into my body, going through my anus and all the way into my stomach. And the intention with that was some sort of purification. But it was so painful, and I ended up bleeding, and it was slimy, and I got pregnant, and then were giving birth to a child without even having the strength to pick it up. So I had so much trauma coming up in me during the night, and I woke up feeling really sick. So obviously there has been some block in my system now being opened up with help from the full moon. So this can be purged out from my body. But every time that happens, the energy moves upwards, and it creates such a bad headache, because it can't really find its way out, and it feels like it's there stuck in my energy field. So today I will go to the ocean and take a dip there to clear my energy field. For me, water is the most healing thing I can use when this happens. My point here is not to tell you about all my trauma and what I have experienced, but I wanted to share with you that in the day of Hud, the week of Hud, that this is coming up right now, it makes me so humble towards other people's experiences and all the trauma which is there. Yesterday I was talking about the feminine and the masculine, and that we need to release the trauma in order to come into union. But what if there is so much trauma? It feels like it's never ending, and it's stuck there in the human conscious field and within our bodies. It just feels overwhelming, and it comes back in our nights and when we are sleeping, and haunting us in our dreams. But when I see this from the light side, first of all, I don't want all of this trauma to be stuck in my body. So I welcome it. Yes, please release it, even though it's quite heavy when it's happening. But when it's done purging out, I feel so much lighter. It's like I'm taking off a very heavy luggage from my shoulders and I leave it in the past. I release it. But I need to find a way to clear it also. So I find this moon super potential to purge out whatever there is stuck in the energy body or the mental or emotional body in my memories. So I can release it and leave it, clear it. We all have different missions here on earth, and I have realized that one of my light work tasks is to allow the trauma of the human experience to be healed through my body, through my experience. So I'm helping the human consciousness in a way to digest what has happened in the past and alchemize it into wisdom. So there's a meaning behind it all, but it makes me super humble. Every time this happened, I'm thinking, wow, all the women, all the men who have experienced sexual abuse, someone entering their body without having this allowance to do so. Yeah, it makes me so humble. I want to cry. It's interesting though, it reminds me about the Genesis and how when Eve eats from the apple and brings Adam with her later in the Genesis, it's written how God speaks to them, and now you will experience the pain of giving birth to a child, and this is a part of the fall in a way, from going from spirit and into the physical world. But we can't see this as punishment from God. That was never the intention behind it. It's talking about our free will of coming here to the earth and experience the physical realm without having this physical experience of being here on earth in the density of the earth. There would be no contrast to what we truly are, which is pure light and love, which is this hologram being, not bound to a body, not trapped within a physical reality. And every time we realize that we really are not trapped within a physical body, that we are so much bigger than that we can tap into the Tiferet, the neutral space within our heart, and observe and release and look and watch without being trapped by it. We grow, the spirit grows. Our soul gets stronger. This is how we are spiritually lifting weights, getting stronger, getting more wisdom, learning what Adam and Eve needed to learn to become aware of the consequences of our thoughts, words, and actions. Yesterday night, I had also a very, very interesting dream. I was flying in the space on some sort of a spaceship. It was almost like we were sitting on this witch, the thing that the witches are flying on. I don't remember the English word right now. But I guess you can imagine. So we were sitting on this, I was sitting there together with another woman, and we were flying in circles. And because like we were flying around the sun or something, or the earth or the moon, I don't know, but we were circulating. And because of this circulation, the woman I was sitting there with, she got sick and she threw up. She got so nauseous that she vomited. And since we were flying in circles, somehow this vomiting, it stayed there in the air. And since we were circling, when we came back to it, it hit us in the face. And I had her vomiting hitting my face. And it was really yucky. And I woke up, and the thoughts I had in my mind was, whatever we vomiting out of words, whatever we speak, will hit us in the face at one time or another. So be aware of what you are saying, because it's energy, and energy always comes back. Or you are coming back to that vomiting later. It's not going anywhere, really. It's you. You are the one circulating and coming back to that energy at one moment or another. And this is really the hood energy and the Tiferet together. Because if we decide, if we really lean back and we don't speak until what comes out of our mouth is in alignment with the truth of who we are, in alignment with God, with love, with care and harmony and peace. If that is what we are creating, and we circle around the sun and we come back to our creation later, what will hit us in the face then? That's the stardust, beautiful love creation, which I had in another dream. So are we facing our vomiting and our ugly stuff? And, when we talk badly about someone, or we attack someone, or we speak someone down, or we are just super judgmental, it will hit us in the face. But what if we stop, don't move, don't speak until we speak the truth, until we speak love and peace, until we have the clarity that our intention of speaking is to create and spread love. That is what is going to find your face next time you return to that energetic space within the space. I know I'm speaking in pictures here, but this is what I was dreaming about. What Yeshua, Jesus, was very clear with and about was that we need to practice forgiveness. It's the only thing that can clear the vomiting. Because often we speak because we don't know better. Often we do because we don't know better. And it's not our fault. This is the human experience. This is where we get trapped. And until you have that level of consciousness where you are completely mindful about what you are saying and doing and thinking, that is not your fault. That's why he said, forgive them because they don't know what they are doing. So what I have started to do now before I go to bed, I ask myself, is there anyone I need to forgive before going to bed so I don't bring this energy with me till the next day? Because people hurt us. And if we stay in that karma or that blaming or feeling a victim of their behavior, we are giving energy to that, and we will return to that. When we have circled around the sun a year, we will face it again and again and again until we have fully forgiven and released it. The world is full of mindless people, and they speak and they act and they hurt. And this will never end because the human suffering will probably never end. But we can do our part, which is to forgive, release, and move forward. For some reason, the story about Buddha before he came the Buddha, he was a young prince and he was living in such a protective environment because his parents didn't wanted him to experience any suffering. And right outside the walls of his castle, life was happening. People were dying, people were suffering, people were sick, but he didn't know about this. So he was completely protected against it because they wanted him to stay pure. But one day he decided he wanted to leave the castle. And when he went out into the street, all he could see was suffering. What a shock. But it makes us humble. It makes us go inside and connect with the paradise and God within ourselves. When I got sick from cancer, my first impulse, my first impulse was to go within and start meditating and doing healing meditations. First, I realized I was sick because I was meditating, because when I lay down to do a yoga nidra or something like that, which was a part of my daily practice, even before I got sick from cancer, I had established a meditation practice. And because of that, I realized that something is really wrong with my body. When I went into it, when I started to sense into myself, it was obvious to me something is terribly wrong. And when I realized, and then I went to the doctor and things like that, of course, and when I realized how serious it was, there was such a strong knowing within me that I could heal this with meditation, with eating healthy food. So I did that every day. And then suddenly one day, my mind opened, my heart opened, and I received the truth about who I am and God within. There was this explosion of light and truth. All my cells opened up to receive this light, and it felt like a body orgasm, like I had an orgasm and goosebumps in every cell of my body. And this was the only truth there is. And everything else I realized was just the illusion of the human experience. In that moment, I released all fear of dying. Angels started to communicate with me. And I remember I was talking with my daughter during the evening, and she was very young at that age, but of course she understood that I was very sick, and we were talking about when I was going to the hospital for the surgery, and she was scared. And I said, but every time you're scared and I'm not there, and you can't speak with me directly, you can speak with your angels. And then she said to me, but Mom, I don't see them. I said, you don't have to see them. You can feel them and just know within your heart that they are there. But how can I know? And then I told her, ask them to show you with a sign. Just show you in some way or another. And the moment I said that, she asked me, can we do that now? And I said, yes, of course. Let's ask them to show themselves to us in one way or another. And then suddenly her flashlight, which was there in her room, turned on by itself. And the whole room, because we were sitting in the darkness because she was going to bed, the whole room lighted up because of that flashlight that somehow turned on by itself. It was 1 meter away from us. No one was touching it. And I just started to laugh. And I said, see, this is how they can show themselves. And they are turning on the light for you, my love. And they are always here. Just remember this moment for the rest of your life. That they are here and they will show themselves in one way or another if you open up for it and you ask for it. So whenever you are afraid, call upon them and you will feel them. Sometimes the most horrible experiences is what is really showing us the way, which is really what awakens us. And we don't know what will happen in the next moment or tomorrow or next year. So we need to really walk with humbleness when we are here. because our mind is so limited, but our hearts know. And this is the truth within. This is the Tiferet, the truth of who we are. And when we tap into that, what we experience is balance and peace and harmony, neutrality. We take a step back from getting trapped within the human experience. And together with Hood, within Hood, we come into this state of full trust in God, full trust in karma, full trust in that everything that happens can lead to deeper wisdom, can bring us closer to the truth of who we are, even though it seems horrible at the moment. And life can feel very unfair to us. But we need to know that everything we are experiences is either a part of that person who creates the suffering for us, that's his or her trauma and karma from the past now being recreated in the moment. Or it's ours. Somehow we have done something in the past and now we have been circling around and we meet at vomiting again. But this can be healed. This can be released through forgiveness, through love, through us practicing coming home to ourselves, to the truth of who we are, the light of who we are, that peace within. So we create from that, with that intention. I'm not saying it's easy. And my heart bleeds, my eyes are crying for all the suffering happening in this world, in this moment. But since you are here listening, you have probably at one time or another touched in with the truth of who you are and where we come from, that we are all children of God. And that you are here for a reason. And maybe you are listening to this counting of the Omer to find your reason for being here. Or finding your way home to the truth of who you are. So perhaps this is the day to really go into silence, into trust and to surrender. Become the observer. Take that step back and just observe yourself, your emotions, your thoughts, your impulses. Observe the sounds. Observe the senses. Without getting lost in it, but allowing it. Allowing life to happen without resisting it, but with this deep trust that everything is happening for a reason, not to punish you, but because time doesn't really exist. And every time we have circled around, we will meet what we have created. And we need to forgive ourselves for all the harm we have created, all those times we have done something against someone or towards ourselves. Mostly the most suffering we create is against ourselves. Forgive, because you did not know what you were doing. And forgive your neighbor, because she or he doesn't know what he or she is doing. There are so many beautiful practices out there. The Ho'oponopono practice from Hawaii, which is this beautiful forgiveness ritual, is something you can search for. Just go on YouTube, search for Ho'oponopono practice or forgiveness practice. There are so many beautiful meditations out there. I have some meditation on the Insight Timer app. If you want to go there, I have one called Healing Your Shadows. In a Light of Love or something. I don't remember the title right now, but you find my name and you go to the Insight Timer. I can leave a link below. Because love is the only power that can really heal this and release us from our past and that other person's actions. Okay. May you find your way back home today. And if it's hard, talk with God. Ask Him to send His or her and its angels to you. Lay down on Mother Earth and sense into the support. She's there holding you all the time. She's there feeding you, nurturing you. Feel that love pouring from her into you continuously, never ending. Ask Yeshua to come or pray to Mother Mary. For me, Mother Mary is probably the biggest, I don't know how to explain it, but when she's there present with me, there's such a great love, this motherly love, this caring love, this endless divine motherly love that never ever judges me. It's so unconditional. And of course Yeshua has the same, but slightly different. So find your source where you can receive this love. So you don't need to create it, because it can be quite hard creating this feeling of unconditional love if you are in the midst of it, if you are in deep shit and suffering. So call on God and ask God to show itself through a spiritual person, an angel, or a spirit animal for you, so you can receive it from the outside and the inside. Because you deserve that, because you are so worthy of that, because it's always there for you to receive it. This is how deeply you are loved by the universe, by God, by earth, by the spirit animals, by the angels, by your guides. They see you as this glorious person, this hood. They see the hood within you. Can you see that yourself? Okay. From the bottom of my heart, I send you this giant waterfall of love and glory today. Namaste.